Hello everyone, I'm back. Felix Valenci here, and you might notice the BGM is the same as the jazz one that I used for the other ones. Unfortunately, I couldn't find anything slightly better because I'm gonna lower that volume a little bit. Um, okay, so that's lowered a little bit. A quick thing. The last time, the Middle Eastern style audio that I was playing got me copyright struck, and I didn't have enough time before stream to grab a new BGM, so we're stuck with the regular one right now. Actually, you know what? Let's look for something else. I'm playing it a bit risky here because um let's just say I'm let's just say that because the last one got me copyright struck and it disabled my comments. I'm pretty sure. Let's hold on. I'm gonna mute for a second. Where's that?
So.
Excuse me. Yeah, for anyone just tuning in, I'm just trying to find a good BGM. Hold on. Hold on. Give me a second. Let's go with this one. Fits the military theme. Creative Commons. So hopefully I can play this on stream. If you're just tuning in, where we left off was, you know, we were exploring the different kinds of technicals that you commonly see. These are improvised fighting vehicles, improvised motorized armored vehicles. Well, not all of them have armor, but we're looking at all the different all the different configurations this has, and we land, and when we were interrupted last stream, when I had to end, we landed on this guy, which was this is a 90 millimeter. This is a 90 millimeter light tank gun. This is normally used on armored cars and light tanks. And you can see the press. You can see the reporter just staring at this thing. And which we did cover. We where was that? CN90 F1 light tank cannon. Generally, anything that goes on the back of a pickup truck, any weapon that you can mount on it, has probably been used on a technical. Government National Quarter Line Militia with the Type 1F J79 ELJ mounting, partial AML90 turret and CM90 F1 cannon. AML90, that's a French armored car, which isn't shown here, and that is the logical result if a Type 1F armed with a, excuse me, I have to take a drink. A Type 1F armed with an EC90 cannon, demonstrating the issue with firing over the side of the vehicle. So yeah, this clearly isn't stabilized for guns like these. Although I guess you can pull it off if you include one of those if you include like those ground shocks that cranes have. Hold on, yeah. Doing this list of everything that we've seen, taking notes. You're supposed to we're taking notes, you're taking notes, everyone's taking notes. Ground stabilizers necessary for So we've got that, and the first Libyan Civil War was the first conflict to see use of Type 1 BMPs, a severed BMP-1 turret mounted at the back of a technical. The BMP-1 has 73mm 2828 Grom. So this is just straight up taking an APC, which is normally like an APC turret, which is normally meant to be tracked, and then just shoving it onto a pickup truck. Simple angle iron frame. That doesn't sound very durable. Left open to the sides and sometimes only protected by a metal plate to the rear. 73mm 2828 Grom. Hold on, was that AML90? The AML90 cannon. The reason for doing for these conversions were numerous. Most notably, the donor BMPs were destroyed, damaged, or cannibalized for parts to keep other PMPs running. Yet the turrets were still functional and now left without a vehicle. Yeah, that's actually a reasonably common thing with a lot of armored vehicles, that they like to swap out the turrets and hulls for different vehicles, and they do this a lot. If you've seen the Chaffee if you've seen the Chaffee and AMX-13 turrets, they always swap the turrets out on those. France did, at least during the early Cold War, because they had a lot of American M24 Chaffee tanks, and they just kept putting their own domestically produced 90mm turrets on it, which looks super cursed. Finally, the fact that their tracked vehicles are large and difficult to maintain, and the BMP-1, being a lightly armored APC, is unsuitable for urban combat, where an RPG hides around every corner. Therefore, it's possible nothing at all was wrong with the donor vehicle, but the turret was mounted on a technical to make it mobile and smaller profile. I wouldn't recommend that, honestly. It's best if you have an intact BMP-1, just put extra armor on it, put some spaced armor on it, and you're good. It's better for use than this. The Libya Dawn Type 1 BMP, having been converted from an SUV, there is not enough room in the bed for the gunner to man the gun, as it is pointing over the rear of the truck, and there may not be enough room to operate it when aiming over the right side. assuming the mount has any traverse and is not fixed in place. Without room to mount the whole turret, the trunnion and cannon have been cut out and placed on a pedestal. Yeah, this was this setup. The mounting of this gun does not look very sturdy, even against the low recoil force of the 2.828. In general, the Libyans keep the trucks in the factory colors, usually tan. It's covered in the smearing of dirt, especially if the truck is white, but the tan color is already matched with the perfect Libyan terrain. Type 1D's armed with rockets. Oh, this is the 122mm Grad, which is like a single barrel Katyusha, oil field and Sidra. One of the dangers in operating in open terrain is attack from aircraft. NATO forces in Libya largely limit themselves to air support. This is what prevented Gaddafi's tanks and aircraft being used over their full potential during the First Civil War. In the Second Civil War, half of all targets claimed by NATO aircraft were technicals. So yeah, if you're up against, like, this is why we have the Igla and the Red Eye, Red Eye, and Stinger, which are all which are all anti-aircraft mounting solutions, anti-aircraft mounting systems, but that's only really effective against helicopters and light aircraft. Yeah, here we go. This is what I wanted to get into today. A lot of the improvised fighting vehicles I didn't cover had improvised armor, and this is the front blade of one that is, oh man. In urban combat, some technical crews began to fit their vehicles with light armor. Usually this is a flat plate or wedge attached to the front of the vehicle, mostly to protect the engine from gunfire. Improvised armor will... Front plate. We have that front plate there. Oh wow. Okay, so I wouldn't say this is a good mounting system because this leaves the this guy is very vulnerable right here. This is, I think a better solution would have just put a medium machine gun on the hood, or like secure it by a bar right there. Put it on a bar mount, stick it in there, and then have him operate it from the inside. Because this is, like, yeah, like what this guy with the PKM is doing. This leaves, like, what's the point of the armor if... Hold on, let me pull up chat to see if anyone's streaming. I mean, if anyone's chatting in my stream. No one so far. Anyway, don't worry, nothing to worry about it. So we have the anti-aircraft gun in the back, which is perfectly willing to suffice. While you have this leaves this guy directly open to any gunfire that comes towards him. I know there's the whole thing about, like, the front plate is cool, it's very based, you have the grills opening here, but it's functionally useless if you're just gonna put the guy in the gun right here, like open target without any armor. Even on armored technicals, the crew are left completely exposed. The frontal armor helps to protect the vehicle while ramming through barricades or into other vehicles. Sometimes chains is hung from the bottom of the front armor. It is believed this is intended as a way to protect the tires. So we've got that, and Libyan National Army with additional frontal armor and a pintle-mounted DSHK. The usefulness of this weapon is questionable, seeing as there is nothing to stop its user from falling off, nor is he offered any protection from the armor. The removable cover has been fashioned into the armor plate over the left side headlight. The soldier hanging out of the hole where the passenger side door is used to be is armed with a 7.62 PKM machine gun, and the person behind with an RPG-7. The black truck to the left of the picture is a Type 10A, a Mitsubishi L200. Land Rover Defender, let's cover that. And Toyota Tundra, because of respect for the American side of all this. So have militias that have distinctive technicals that are worth discussing on their own. The Mobile National Force has a standardized camouflage pattern that is applied to nearly all their technicals. Yeah, the use of this is questionable, especially in a heavy desert environment. And I feel very bad for this guy in OCP camo, which is like famously the worst camouflage ever devised. This is a US Army issue for a time. M40s were there. ZPU and Zastava M55A1 B1 M55A4 B1 triple 10 20 millimeter. Oh, let's put that down. All right. So, okay. The Bravia Chamai has been fitted with a rocket launcher, missile launcher, armored car. Where's that? Where's that shown? Oh, the Bravia Chamai. That's a Brazilian APC, I think, as far as I can remember. Field Marshal Khalifa Haftar's army, brown splotches. Yeah, this is probably the most useful kind of camouflage available for this sort of environment. Although the M81 Woodland being worn by most of them is questionable. This guy has the right idea. This guy has the right idea. That's desert camouflage uniform, I think. My tummy hurt. I just ate lunch. I know it's a late lunch to have. By region of operation. Oh, okay. What the hell is this? Okay. That's one way to launch a rocket. An LNA, a Libyan National Army Type 1D, armor that massive 240 millimeter S-24 air-to-ground rocket. This is normally for use on aircraft. This vehicle is being prepared to fire on ISIS positions near Sirte, Libya. Oh man. Oh man. Is that there? That's let's see the there was something I tried to find. Let me pull that up. Let me pull it out of Discord for a second. Where's that? I think we found it. I think we found the we found it. This was the meme describing hold on. Let me copy this because I have it saved on Discord. Yeah. We found it. We found the motherfucker. We found the motherfucker. Finally, we found a version of it at least. This one just seems to be a bomb. No, it could be a rocket. Anti-air autocannon, anti-tank missile. This is what we're going for. This is what we're looking at. Anti-air missile, and all the other stuff. We covered all that. 240 millimeter S. Oh, damn it. I don't know where that came from. Hope that didn't dox me or anything. No, 240 millimeter. Is anyone listening? Is the BGM too loud? 240 millimeter air to ground rocket. We have to specify that's an aircraft rocket. Oh, that's an interesting camo pattern. That's I think that's the one used by the U.S. Marines, but it's captured by Ansar al-Sharia from the LNA on Benghazi. Vinyl wrap camouflage similar to that used by the MNF. Well, the number on the door indicates that this may be one of several similarly decorated trucks. So far, this is the only photo of an LNA technical with this camouflage pattern. Wraps might be advisable to protect the metallic skin of the truck, the vehicle surface. Anyways, so we've got hold on. 106 Brigade of the Libyan National Army paints their camouflage use a camouflage pattern wearing the shapes of Africa and Libya are stenciled in black and dark olive onto the tan base plane of the vehicles. I guess that's one way to be patriotic or nationalistic. Oh, this is a splatter. This is like a splatter camouflage. Gun shields. Oh, that's one front plate. Gun shields. So we've got that. That's pretty advisable for a lot of rear-mounted weapons in order to protect the gunner from return fire. Indestructible. Like the Libyan civil wars, the Syrian civil war and Yemeni civil war brought about by the Arab Spring movement, the Syrian civil war in particular has fostered renewed Islamic terrorism that has spread throughout the world. Syrian civil wars covered all that. So, yeah, we have the BMPs, Free Syrian Army with Type 1 BMP taking several shots at Syrian government forces. We have that shown, which is probably not stable. And I love that's just like the regular civilian decor pattern. And while these are camouflage, Al-Nusra Front, these are like Islamic terrorist groups. There we go, a BGM-71. So that's a U.S.-made anti-tank missile. Looking up the rear is another Type 1A, or the KPV. We have a KPV already. And Milan ATGM. That's I think that's a wire-guided anti-tank missile that mounted there. Anti-air support against ISIS for Kurds and the Syrian rebels. Parents bombing efforts in Syria. So we have all that. We have all the politics going on, and the superb coordination between crew members. The truck pops out of the alleyway just long enough for the ZPU gunner to empty the magazines. Yeah, shoot and scoot operations. Shoot and scoot operations are like basically like they form the backbone of most technical ops. Oh, this one has a snorkel. Shoot and scoot tactics. Man, I am fumbling with words today. Let's lower that volume a little bit. I don't know how much of it is coming on, but I just don't want it to be too loud. I think this is a famous photo. I'm pretty sure I've seen this before. PMU. Oh. The birdhouse-like structure behind the cab is a crude early warning system meant to detect incoming infrared-guided missiles. Oh, that's an interesting upgrade to have. Counter-infrared early warning systems. So we have that. We have we have ghillie wraps. Is a T-55 a pro-ISIS militia, and the BMP-1 is U-23-2, and usually covered with a camouflage net. Yeah, military vehicles have been putting like camouflage netting, ghillie, bits of trees and stuff, and like branches that are just strapped onto their vehicles for a long while. Even the U.S. does it in order to blend in with especially with areas with a lot of vegetation like forests and jungles. Yeah, rather be free to take the ISIS capital of Raqqa and ISIS held. Free Syrian Army fighting Type 1 group of technicals. Oh, you have the KPV. Type 1B special. What's the special? Russian forces would be leaving on all that. Here we go. Here we. Oh! This is a Turkish Special Forces Type 1B. I didn't know the Turkish Special Forces directly use them, but I guess it makes sense because they're directly taking part in the conflict, and this is what their enemies would be using too. The Turkish military did not use many technicals, but those it did use were quite commonly built. Turkish Type 1Bs were fitted with large three-sided gun shields, as seen here. And here we have the parasol, we have the shade parasol for the gunner. Three-sided gun shields. We have, I think this looks like because of the mismatch, this is camouflage tan. This is a bright yellow, or a muted yellow at least. This looks like it was taken from maybe a bulldozer or something, and they just welded it back on. That's the only, like, I guess that was my gun shield. Construction vehicle doors. And we have the I think, is this a water tank? A Tadir al-Sham troop carrier. So this is this makes sense if you're transporting a lot of guys. This is a lot better solution than the United Nations one that we saw earlier. Where is that? That's Libya. Yeah, this is like, this doesn't provide enough protection for most troops, I'd say. Let's find the UN one that we saw in last. Yeah, this one. This leaves everyone open to, like, I get it that it allows a quicker dismounting system, like everyone gets off, everyone starts shooting, but this does not provide any real protection for these guys. Meanwhile, this jihad militia right here, what they're using works a lot better. Because it's like, and this is, you can see this, we saw the evolution of this, where the British did this during the Troubles, where they would just like take a tank, like what is it, like a tanker truck tank, and just mount it onto the back of their truck, like cut open it, like drain it with liquid, drain the liquid from it, cut open a door for troops to dismount, and they basically have all the gear that they need, all the protection that they need. This will protect them from most gunfire, like under most circumstances. Armored troop carrier participating exercise for preparation attack by the Syrian Arab Army in Idlib. The troop compartment is complete with side firing ports and a rear door, bears a strong resemblance to the Daimler Guinness armored lorry, which we covered last stream of over 100 years prior. Yeah, like, time is a flat circle. Things change and things stay the same. This stayed the same. That's probably like one of the oldest methods of technical there are. A Type 1F includes a pro-Assad militia, 30mm 2482 autocannon, normally seen on infantry fighting vehicles such as the BMP-2. Yeah, that would actually be a pretty good like, this is a good setup for technicals that are fighting other technicals. The camouflage pattern isn't probably the most advisable, but since it's such a heavy caliber autocannon, this would readily pierce through stuff like this, This would, like, them opening up with one of these would be able to engage technicals more effectively. So let's put that down. Grom BMP cannon. Put that down. Where is that? 2828. It's always the Soviets always had that like numbering system for ground vehicles. That's a Land Cruiser and that's a snorkel. 2482. 30 millimeter Soviet. Trump announced that U.S. forces will be leaving Syria. Action of terrorists and all that. So, this one used by ISIS. 25 millimeter Oerlikon KBA. That's a rarer one because that's this is a Swiss-made autocannon. You know, Type 1F. So that's also still a Toyota. 25 millimeter Oerlikon KBA. KBA. So that's an autocannon. Several Hezbollah ones and Gerard arsenal. So this is a standard armament for 23 millimeter guns. Oh, we found another motherfucker. We found another motherfucker. It's just a rail with just a giant with just a giant missile mounted on it. Oh my gosh. The rocket and launcher could not be identified and may be an improvised model. An Iraqi militia active in both Iraq and Syria. Oh man. That looks professionally made though. That looks reasonably made. I guess no, these could be just pipes welded together and they just stuck the rocket in there. And I mean I guess Qassam rockets could be an advisable. No, none of like I'm displaying a lot. I'm reading about and displaying a lot of these terrorist organizations. I do not endorse terrorism. I will not comment on recent events. I do not endorse terrorism. I just wanted to make that clear. But the things that they use, the weapons that they build are really interesting. And I think it's like with people studying panzers in World War II or Soviet tanks during the Cold War. Just because they're bad people doesn't mean like they can't make cool shit. Some improvised rockets. So we've got that. Oh, I think this might be like has to be directly related to the motherfucker. We're like, I'm sorry, this like stupid meme from I hate this board. What is it? What is that board? What is that board's name? Non-credible defense. I immediately think of any technical with just a giant rail with a rocket or a bomb strapped to it. I just call it the motherfucker. And there is no vehicle that screams more motherfucker than this. I think, is that an Isuzu D-Max? Sham Soon tubes, sham rockets. Shams is a nebulous term referring to a type of improvised rocket created by multiple factions of the Syrian Civil War. Sham improvised rockets. Sham improvised rockets. So we've got that. It's the motherfucker. It's the motherfucker. A Shams rocket consists of a disproportionately large warhead and a long, slender rocket motor, so like an RPG. Shams rockets are tube-launched and highly inaccurate, but carry a large explosive charge. The Type 1D has a small crane on the back of the launcher to facilitate loading the rockets. Gun shield, holy. For loading rockets. It's just a thing where like well, this improvised industrial warfare. It's so funny. of the Badir Rocket Brigade preparing for attack on ISIS. You'd expect the guys fighting against ISIS to have slightly better gear, but I guess not. I think this is an Isuzu, and I'm gonna put that down as one. The Isuzu. The truck on the left cannot be identified. It is armed with an improvised rocket. In a firing a Type 63 rocket launch. We mentioned this. We talked about this. This is we talked about this Type 63 rockets. Where is that? Type 63 107mm rocket launcher. Oh, we have 82mm mortars on technicals by the Free Syrian Army. Lines of the East Army that make it the FSA. This is so we have this. We have mortars. We're getting into mortars now. Indirect fire kind of thing. .82mm mortars. I'm surprised we haven't seen more of more indirect fire technicals. I guess they're coming up and dealing and showing them. ISIS Type 1 BMP. Yeah, we can see here the heavy side plating that we like on this ISIS technical. The heavy side plating that they use to mount this turret. And I think that would be like that's probably like one of the more protective, easily protective kinds of technical that you see. Gun sheet. Front plate gun shields, all that. Vehicles overhauled by the workshop. The workshop? A Malyutka missile. Oh, this is I'm pretty sure that's a Soviet anti-tank missile. 232 is the most 232 is the most frequently photographed Type 1 BMP, and you've seen here launching a Malyutka missile. Let's put that down. Let's put that down as well. Malyutka ATGM. And the first oh man, okay. So this is apparently is not actually a technical at all, but an SV suicide vehicle-borne IED. The suicide vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. These were made by it began as a rebel faction, but turned into an ISIS aligned terrorist group. Yeah, ISIS would do that. But that being said, it's just interesting. Like they put so much. Like you'd think that a vehicle meant for suicide ops or like as rolling bombs or car bombs would be less armored than this just massive Mad Max just covered everything with like these crude little knife slashes for the grill so the vehicle can have the vehicle's intake and work properly. And they managed to put in headlights. Actually, let's put that down too. Engine headlights. But just why would you put so much effort in armoring what is literally a vehicle that is meant to die? Probably more than what was warranted. Armoring SVB IEDs is nothing new. It helps ensure the operator stays alive long enough to get the explosive to the desired target. However, using the bodywork of a BTR-152, cutting apart the entire vehicle in the process, and basing the SVB IED on a Land Cruiser, one of the most desirable platforms for technicals, are very strange choices. So let's put that down. Construction vehicle doors. Salvage armor car and scout car armor. That would. So BTR 152 armored trucks from the stocks. Presumably these trucks are non-operable. Otherwise, damn it. As otherwise they could have been. Oh, we have someone in chat. Hello. They could have been used as SVB IEDs with little alteration necessary. After the defeat of Khalid bin whatever that is. ISIS. These are the whatever. They're ISIS. The BTR-bodied Land Cruiser was discovered in the former territory by the Syrian Arab Army. These trucks, however, were different than SVBIDs. Type 1 BTRs. Oh, this is they straight up just cut out a like this is I feel like the armor quality would be a lot better than this piece of shit. Type 1 BTRs were mounted as intended as fighting vehicles. The first vehicle was armed with a KPV machine gun and used with only the rear cut off to fit the shorter Land Cruiser chassis. So this is an extended plate. Why is it in? Oh, that is. That's why they're in Russia. They're in they are in Russia. They have the Russian lettering. I guess these are like their captured spoils of war, the same things that the U.S. does to bring home captured vehicles. Turret mounting boxes. Wheel covers. Wheel covers would be wheel skirts. Wheel skirts. I'm using skirts as like a technical term for a lot of tanks that cover up their tracks with a side skirt with like a cover of armor, so the tracks don't get shot out. And it seems like this is what they have on this one, and on another vehicle that we saw earlier. Oh yeah, we have it in Yemen. We have Type 1A arm with the bull bars. Oh yeah, bull bars would probably be necessary to prevent rollovers. Rollover bars. Photo pre-war Yemen arm of the DSHK belonging to the Central Security Organization, the pre-war Yemeni military police. So we've got that. This is an interesting looking camo pattern. Yemeni army. So this is before all that stuff with the Houthis went down. And I will... Oh, this looks really, this looks really well done. This looks very professionally done. The conical turret type of the Yemeni Type 1A has also been seen in service with the Central Security Organization. Improvised turrets. That would be good. And you see these like, it looks like a professionally made vehicle by Toyota. This is what it looks like. This probably might be one of my more favorites yet, because it just looks so professionally made. That is slick. That I would like to own one of these, and I would probably replace the top turret with a remote controlled turret, probably, if we have that money. It's just so interesting that it looks so well made, and we have it. Well, we have the same thing here, and I guess if we can afford it, best armor. Professionally made improvised turret mounting boxes and wheel skirts, front plate wheels. It's because this legitimately seems like something like a package Toyota would offer to a military, complete with the turret, complete with everything, and an open top turret. What is the guy's photo there? Yemeni Type 1E with an... Oh man, because we always see them and they always have that armored back, and I think that might be the best solution for a lot of armored technicals, is to just cover up the back with an octagonal open top turret. And we have just the guy sticking out, and you can see the recoilless rifles, the back vent just sticking out. As in the Yemeni civil war, the Yemeni government's use of technicals has greatly diminished. The Houthis are now the largest operator of technicals in Yemen. Houthi technicals are characterized by ingenuity and outlandish weaponry. With limited access to modern weaponry, the Houthis had to make do with whatever they were able to capture. This includes such antiques as the Soviet 57mm ZIS-2 and 76.2mm ZIS-3, both of which they have mounted on Toyota Land Cruisers. I'm pretty sure both of these are like World War II tank guns, if my memory serves me correct. Yeah, ZI 57 millimeter ZIS-2. Pretty cool. ZI 57 millimeter Z. Anti-aircraft cannon. Very clearly on its last legs, yet it soldiers onward. The indestructibility of the Land Cruiser. 76.2 millimeter ZIS-3. T-30. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a T-34 tank cannon. So we have those for options. But while in most cases the cannon can be traversed over the cab for transport, it must be fired facing the rear as to not destroy the vehicle. The mother of all technicals, the M167 Vaz 20 millimeter Gatling gun mounted on a pickup truck. Yemen received its towed version. We saw these before. We covered these. This is the it was the CIA funding technical. We have another one with a tow. An Iraqi PMU. That's a tow, I think, as well. Type 1C Iraqi PMU destroying an ISIS suicide truck. Oh, that's another rocket, another version. It's not a motherfucker. It's a multiple rocket launch system. And it's interesting to note that this Land Cruiser is the version with the double door cab, with the 4-door cab. And this is Iranian revolutionary group that sought refuge in Iraq. It was disarmed by the Americans in 2003. As an American soldier can be seen in the photo, it was likely taken sometime after the invasion of Iraq. Yeah, these aren't as professionally made as like the Yemeni army ones, but this is like one of the better mounting solutions. It's just like a cohesive armored box. The truck does not exhibit any signs of having carried mounted weaponry, but an armored troop compartment is fashioned onto the bed. It really demonstrates to the truth of how versatile these trucks can be. You can carry people on it. You can carry troops. You can use it as gunships. You can use it as like rocket launchers and artillery and all that. And Type 1D. I feel like I've seen like, and this is an interesting because it looks. And this Iranian one looks dedicated. It looks like the turret on this thing looks like it was built very professionally. Professionally built turrets. Improvised turrets and professionally made turrets. Because this looks like a very like an actual package Toyota would offer to a military. This similarly, Assyrian Type 1D J79 TL Grad J79 have Type 1Ds and 14 tubes and 2x7 configuration. Grad launchers. Okay, so we have the 2x. J79TL. Oh no, that's a J75. That's a Toyota numbering system. 14 tubes. The Grad. Hold on. Oh, I screwed that up.
Your word is formaldehyde.
Oh, we got an ad.
Use it in a sentence.
As you're sitting in your
I didn't expect to get an ad. Sorry about that. So anyways, so a number of half Type 1Bs have been captured by ISIS in Iraq, having just the one barrel, a normally twin-barrel ZU-23-2. It is not known whether this alteration was done by the Iraqis or by ISIS after they captured the technicals. As a way to stretch the small number of weapons they've captured as far as possible. So we have one of those. A single barrel mounting system. And I think I've seen this photo before as well. Oh, another ISIS technical. SDF fighting ISIS, insurmountable. Here we go. We're near the end of this article, and we can move on to the other stuff. Despite the popularity of the type of the 70 series and Hilux with warfighters, Toyota actively tries to prevent their trucks from falling into their hands. Being the brand of choice for terrorists, revolutionaries, and war criminals does not reflect well on Toyota's corporate image. Well, to me it does, because I know it works. We know that trucks work. Toyota's official statement on the matter is, Toyota has a strict policy not to sell vehicles to potential purchasers who may use or modify them for paramilitary or terrorist activities, and have procedures in place to prevent their products from being diverted for unauthorized military use. And all that. Toyota does not sell vehicles in Syria, and until 2012 did not sell in Libya. In the 5 years prior to the U.S. invasion of Afghanistan, Toyota insists that only a single truck was sold legally in that country. Toyota does freely sell trucks in Iraq, Jordan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. It is from these countries that Toyotas make their way into the hands of warfighters in the Middle East. This is a common thing. Like, a lot of Mexico, like, if you read up on a lot of like Mexican drug war issues, which we will be covering later today if we have the time, about technicals from the Mexican drug war, but a lot of guns that the cartels use, that a lot of criminals and mafia use down in Mexico, come from the U.S., come from Russia, come from Canada, but mostly the U.S., and imports from places like the Middle East, from Middle East, Russia, and most especially the U.S., because they're so easy to get across the border. And that's just like a common thing. That's how the arms trade works. That's how arms control works. You don't control the arms. They just go wherever you please. They go wherever they're needed. That's why, like, I don't mean to get too political, but that's a reflection of weapon control and why more people should be armed in defense against the why the proliferation of arms keeps going against itself, and it's better to be armed than to not be armed. Be that it is as it may, many special forces purchase Toyotas, sometimes in great numbers, for their own operations. The benefit of using technicals is that it allows them to blend in with every irregular faction in a given conflict. U.S. Special Forces use a mix of different makes and models, with a large number of Toyota Hiluxes and Land Cruiser 70s. In U.S. military jargon, a technical is an unarmored, non-standard commercial vehicle, and the first use of the 70 series by U.S. Special Forces was during Operation Desert Storm, the 1991 intervention in Kuwait. Yeah, that makes sense. We needed a lot of vehicles for that one, so we would just strap on a lot. While other units also utilized non-standard vehicles, the 5th Special Forces Group were given Land Cruiser J-75s, apparently a donation to the effort by Japan. These Land Cruisers were given small modifications such as side stowage racks. Let's put that on there. Side stowage racks and identification markings in the form of black carrot, and they were pointing up, painted on the doors, and a VS-17 orange signal panel strapped to the roof of the cab. We see these on a lot of utility trucks in the U.S. A pintle mount was placed on the bed, and trucks were equipped with either a 50 cal M2 or a Mark 19 40mm grenade launcher. But those are cool to have. Mark 19 40mm. So we have 5th Special Forces Group entering Kuwait City. Yeah, these are U.S. Special Forces. With and we have the cargo racks. This is like, again, it's not entirely a safe place to put your stuff, But you know, it's better than nothing. It's better than sitting right here. So you know what? Let's actually take that off because no, let's leave it on. Everyone needs more space. Everyone needs more storage. Recently, defense contractors, as like mercenaries, have taken notice of the popularity of the Land Cruiser as a fighting vehicle and have begun to offer their own modifications and aftermarket versions. This certainly predicates that Toyota knows about these uses of their vehicles and at least tolerates them, despite the fact that cutting off these supplies would help to reduce the number of trucks that fall into the hands of less desirable operators. In addition to using them for their own special forces, Western countries purchase and donate trucks to third world governments and revolutionaries they support. Non-lethal aid my ass. Oh, this is an interesting one. This looks like the kind of thing they'd mount on Land Rovers. This is like professional side armor paneling. They produce armored versions of the Land Cruiser for non-combat uses. A lot of US companies do this too. Are those radio antennas? Better radio antennas. And we're gonna get into I want to cover the more armored aspect of these technicals soon, especially when we get into the Mexican drug war era. When originally developed in the mid-2010s, the Jankel Fox looked considerably different to the modern iteration. So this is like drill bars. The Jordanian army was an early customer of the Jankel Fox, which it called Alpha Lab, which is just the Fox. Oh, here we go. Here we go. We have the the Special Forces British style passenger mounted machine gun right here. This is a good mounting. I covered this in the last stream as I thought this would be a really good mounting system to have. Hold on, let's take that. Better radio antenna sandbags. And so we have Jankel. That's our first brand name for actual armor. Oh, we have another mortar. A South African division of Thales displayed its Scorpion mortar at the back of a modified Land Cruiser. Supposedly, this automated gun mount can function with the Type 63 rocket launcher. Supposedly, this automated gun mount can function with a Type 63 rocket launcher in addition to most types of mortars. So we have that. Scorpion mortar. So we have another mortar to add to the group. And it's automated. So I think this is a remote control weapon system. Or it's a programmable weapon system at least. Another CIA funding thing. Type 63 rocket launcher. We have that we had that earlier. We were looking at it earlier. 107 millimeter. That's caliber. 107 millimeter mortar. Proforce, a Nigerian company. Oh, we have another one. These are and it's interesting to see them use the 4-door version. Proforce provides the Buffalo improvised combat vehicle. Yeah, is for the armored fighting compartment, the machine gun turret, and the bed. So let's put those down as well. So what was the company name again? Proforce. So we've got that. And this might be the American one. No, this is Australian. Australian Patrol Vehicles, a subsidy of Australian Expedition Vehicles, offers a 6x6 conversion of the Land Cruiser J79 for military use. It is called the LRPV, or Long Range Patrol Vehicle. Pintle is provided for mounting a light machine gun above the cab. So 6x6 conversions would be an interesting conversion for this kind of thing, especially if you need an extended wheelbase for mounting putting more things, not like for as a troop carrier if you're like hauling artillery shells or something like that. Aftermarket system. So we have 6x6 conversions, and possibly also we have the spare tires. More spare tires. That's probably like one of the most valuable things to have on a vehicle in a war zone. And this is what I want to get into. Here we go. We have like there we have the glowy technicals, the proper ones, and this is what I wanted to get into today. The Terrier LT-79 is a light armored personnel carrier built by the Armored Group out of Dearborn, Michigan. The Armored Group. At this point, this doesn't even look like a Toyota. This looks a lot more like, it's based on the chassis, the VD J79L. So this is still a Toyota Land Cruiser, but it looks it looks like alien. Looks like a professionally made armored vehicle, and this is the things that I want to get in today. LRPV Gepard, Tatra trucks, in the Czech military. So this is an extended wheelbase one, I'm pretty sure. So we have the LRPV Gepard, LRPV. LRPV Gepard system, which is like this big extension. This looks worthy of being a safari vehicle, but it's being used in Europe. And this is another one that looks like professionally armored. It looks totally alien from the original Toyota it was on. Mezcal Armored Vehicles produces the Tigra armored personnel carrier in both 4x4 and 6x6 configurations based on the 70 series chassis. Multiple models are in use with several African nations. This looks more like a Humvee, the front end of this. And let's see what this is because I want to find out. The Aras is a mysterious truck from Iran, which first appeared in 2019. Little is known about it, but the chassis is believed to be a loose copy of the Land Cruiser J79. The Aras has been seen configured as Type A, Type B, and Type D technicals. Like I said, it's interesting that Iran would just produce their own, especially and when people start producing their own of something, it's good, people need it, and it's like, and the proliferation has become so wide and so large that it like the market has become self-sustaining. This J79, that looks tiny. Bahrain Defense Force, being a short wheelbase land cruiser, while it does not offer much in the way of a fighting compartment, the single cannoneer was likely meant to operate the gun while dismounted. Only 6 rounds of ammunition are carried. Also, this looks like something you'd see like as a joke vehicle, as an anti-tank, as like a joke tank destroyer in War Thunder. Best platform. Aras, Iranian. So we've got that, and it would be impossible to list every military and paramilitary group that has utilized a Type 1 technical. So we've got all that, and we've got all that. Finally, we're done with this one, so we can click off of that. And this is what I wanted to look at earlier, because we saw here the commercial, hold on. In use by, because we saw where is that? Come on. unarmored, non-standard commercial vehicle, and this is what we have. This is the all-American version, and we see it as what is it? It's not a Toyota, it's a Chevy Silverado. Let's put that down real good. We've got the Chevy Silverados in use by the U.S. military, Yokota Air Base, Japan. Is a vehicle program instituted to provide the U.S. military with light utility vehicles based on civilian trucks. A commercial off-the-shelf concept, which is a concept that is not used as much as it should be for the U.S. military. What translated into the CUCV program was originally intended to augment the purpose-built but expensive Gamma Goat 6x6, 1.25 ton trucks and the M151 series Jeeps, approaching the end of the service life in the mid-1970s. Initially, Dodge D trucks were provided in the late 1970s with several military modifications. In the mid-1980s, Chevrolet CKs, which are, these are GMC, replaced the Dodge vehicles in the CUCV-1 and CUCV-2 guise. GM CUCVs were heavily redesigned in 2000, and their name was changed to the Light Service Support Vehicle, LSSV. CUCVs are intended to perform background roles, providing support for frontline forces such as cargo transport, troop transport, first aid, and comms. CUCVs are not built for direct frontline combat use. We'll see about that, as evident by their lack of bulletproofing and protection from ordnance. So these are just like civilian trucks painted with military colors. But that being said, we know that the U.S. has done this on their own before. General Motors and AM General has produced CUCVs since 1984 in 3 distinct generations. So we have the Chevy Blazer. Excuse me, hold on. Chevy Blazers were used for the for these. We'll look at these later. Technicals. So upgraded to 3/4 of a ton capacity. I'm pretty sure, like, truck lovers in chat, please correct me. Oh, hey Lord Mollington, hey man. The Warrior IFV chassis with the Bradley turret would be the best vehicle ever. Well, we're not. I would like to look at that at some point, maybe. I'm not sure. But I would like to look at the history of like semi-improvised vehicles where you just strap a turret onto a vehicle that it's really not meant to. Detroit Diesel V8. Detroit. We've got all that, and this is owned by Marcel Brunner. So this is probably like in surplus now. Electrical. So we have all this. Someone I would like to add, if Gray Zoomer, if you're in chat, Gray, please enlighten me on how to use the Ford for this sort of thing, which we will be covering that later on. CUCV, produced through 2001, CUCV-2s were basic civilian Chevrolet CK, Suburban, and Tahoe units sent to another plant for militarization. They just put these bars on the front and cover it in paint, and that's military grade now. Fun fact, if you're military grade does not mean superior to civilian grade. It really doesn't. Do not make that mistake. Hold on, let's put that down. And if you're in the US, you know Chevy Suburbans are like the glowy vehicle. You see the Secret Service in them. You see the FBI use them. If you're being followed by a black Suburban from the 2000s, you know the federal government is onto you. So it makes entirely perfect sense they would equip the military with them too. CUCV-2. Oh, the US. Oh, hey, Mollington, the UK used these as well. Switch to AM General. So Chevy Tahoes. Militarized commercial off the shelf. And so we've come to that. Field crew. We have that with the reading. Let's put that down. Reading truck system. utility truck system. That would be useful for some jobs. Armor system, and so we've got those. And it's interesting to note that, and this isn't a technical, but I wanted to mention it anyway. The SRV Dominator is a name given to a series of vehicles used for reed timber, as featured on the Discovery Channel series Storm Chasers. SRV stands for Storm Research Vehicle. This was originally mounted on a ship. Like, yeah, is it meant for military purposes? No. Can you use it for military purposes? I need to check the Mythbusters episode where they tested the armor of one of these to see if these would actually withstand a tornado. And the SRV is not designed to intercept, due to mainly to a lack of an anchoring system as employed on the TIV-2, which we will look in a second. Was able to get as close as humanly possible to tornadoes. So this is an early version. This wasn't perfect. In 2009, a tornado in Aurora, Nebraska unexpectedly strengthened right over the Dominator and blew out the driver's window, with its exterior Lexan window failed to roll up. Reed Timmer and one of his passengers suffered lacerations of the face from flying glass. So we have that. This is not meant to be a military vehicle, but a lot of these demonstrate that these platforms are capable of mounting all the things that we would normally associate with technicals. And so, while I focus so much on Toyota technicals, especially today, it proves that other vehicles are perfectly capable of doing this. So we have the Chevy Tahoe, the Chevy Yukon, a lot of Chevrolets besides the Toyota. And we have, we'll be getting into that in a second. Flex fuel engine. That might be useful for run on more than one fuel, especially for it depends, I guess, maybe. Flex fuel engines. So we have Mike Bettis and then Dominator 2, the General Motors, that's Yukon XL, and this one was based on the Ford Super Duty, and we'll be getting into those in a second. Ford F-250s, so we've got that. The Dominator 4 is a more standard vehicle, unlike Timmer's previous storm chasing vehicles, which are heavily fortified trucks. So this technically wouldn't be considered eligible for being a technical. Smaller size and maneuverability. Has documented in many cars many dents and dings, including hail damage and encounters with tornadoes. So we've got that, which isn't technically good. And this is what I wanted to look into. Technically, the U.S. has made its own armored technicals for use by the U.S. Air Force even. Oh man, this guy's setup is interesting. An M1 World War II helmet and the full CBRN gear. In chemical warfare, in civil engineering squadron dress, 52nd Civil Engineering Squadron dress and chemical warfare gear examines a damaged runway from the top hatch of a Cadillac gauge Commando Ranger vehicle during exercise Salty Demo 85. Salty Demo 85 is an airbase survivability exercise evaluating passive and active defense, aircraft operation generation, and base recovery systems. So this was used by U.S. Air Force and I think the U.S. Army as well, but this is a military police vehicle. Built on a Dodge truck chassis, Cadillac Gauge Ranger, known popular in the U.S. military as the Cadillac Gauge Peacekeeper or the Cadillac Gauge Peacekeeper 1, is a four-wheeled armored personnel carrier marketed as an internal security vehicle. An armored car or armored personnel carrier used for supporting contingency operations, like if an emergency happens and you need an armored car, like an attack happens and you need something internal, this is what you would roll up. It's larger, USAF security forces, so this is a military police vehicle. And the Peacekeeper 2. We don't have an image for that one. I remember the USAF Security Forces made an M60 machine gun mounted on top of a Cadillac Gauge Ranger in 1983. So we've got that, and we can see the Cadillac Gauge armor system. Let's include that. Cadillac Gauge, as you can see by like the companies involved, Cadillac Gauge is not related to Cadillac of General Motors. Cadillac Gauge. So we have those. Now, the Cadillac Gauge Ranger is no longer offered by Textron, with trademarks canceled, although it was unclear when it was discontinued. Is approximately US $230,000. Now, as of 2020, the Ranger's per unit replacement cost approximately USD $230,720. So these are like reasonably cheap if that is the price. X1 general purpose machine gun. So this is like it doesn't have much in the terms of weaponry, but it's perfectly adequate in terms of armor. Dodge Ram truck chassis with a. So let's get that on there. Dodge Ram. And a gun turret with firing ports for the vehicle's occupants and fire weapons and dispense devices such as smoke grenades with minimal risk. Let's put down firing ports. Because that's a common feature on a lot of armored vehicles. And I'll look at those in a bit, because let's keep going with the Tornado Intercept vehicle, where I briefly want to cover like these more professionally armored ones. And this is a Tornado. These are designed by film director Sean Casey. This is another Tornado vehicle. This is not a military vehicle, but it could be designed potentially for use by one. Ford F-Series Super Duty cab and chassis truck uses a storm chasing platform. Bullet resistant polycarbonate. Let's put that on there. Polycarbonate bulletproof windows. So let's put those down. I wanted to show it off. Tornado Intercept vehicle, Navistar International, all that. Tornado Intercept vehicle 2, which is like at first glance it could be mistaken for a military vehicle. We have a 6x6 platform, and the rear is a cupola, which is common on a lot of tanks, a lot as well. We have all that. We have the front plate, angle plate. Storm is based on a Dodge Ram 3500 that was strengthened and converted to 6-wheel drive by adding a third axle. And we've got all that. And this is what I wanted to look at. Since at the end of that article, we were looking at professionally made vehicles that aren't technicals but could be adjacent to them and useful as an aftermarket armoring system. This is one of the best examples you can see, as with the Plazin Sandcat, which is an Israeli-made scout vehicle, and which is used in the same way that we use our Humvees, is internally composite armor. Plazin Sandcat, now Platinum Israel, AUSA, and so we've got. It was seen as a potential replacement for the AL Storm Jeeps of the IDF, and for wider use as a protected light vehicle capable of performing roles on deployed operations that, until the deployments to Iraq and Afghanistan, previously been performed by soft-skin light utility types like the CUCV or Technicals. Pleasant has also stated the design was intended to demonstrate to partner customer OEMs that the company could take any automotive platform and design an armored hull for it. Originally, these were Fords. I'm pretty sure the original model Where yeah, this is the original model. It still has the Ford badge. This is the original prototype. This is the it was a Ford chassis. Gray Zoomer would be proud, even if it's the Gray Zoomer might be proud. Mounting a KPV, an NSV. Do we have one of those?
1 in 8 people have worked at
Oh,
a McDonald's. That's a lot of technical skills, people skills,
NSV.
and lifelong skills learned on the job and off. That 1 in 8 will always.
So I've got all that, and that is where can I find that again? Pleasant Sandcat. And so we have Raphael Spike, non-line of sight and lost guided missiles. So this is potentially an option if you're rich enough. Raphael Spike, non-line of sight guided missiles. ATGM. So we've got those being used by South Korea, by pretty much everyone, and we'll get into the less professionally made ones in a bit. And we have like they get progressively uglier and uglier. I like this version a lot better, and the one shown at the top. Also, Sweden handling and Sandcat is reported to have excellent handling and acceleration for an armored vehicle. Ford Super Duty pickup chassis reduced through life cycle costs, and all automotives used in all Sandcat generations have remained standard Ford wherever possible. So we've got we're selling for recognition. For the first time, there are no visible Ford parts on the vehicle's exterior. That's a shame. I really like the Ford badge. So run flat inserts. So we've got a lot of upgrades that we could like put onto our theoretical technicals. Winches, external cameras. We have a lot to like run flat tires. Did we already cover that? That goes under armor. I'm pretty sure that could go under armor. Bulletproof tires. So we have that, and Minoka's a custom wheelbase can be selected without the associated engineering chassis challenges of shortening any chassis. This is like it's worth noting that the steel, ceramic, and Kevlar protection level to suit requirement. Bulletproof tire. Ceramic armor plating, Kevlar sheeting. Like, and you'll see that a lot of like this is where it blends both like a lot of lighter armored vehicles will see similar kinds of armoring systems that you would for infantry, like same materials used in body armor, same materials used in civilian protective armor, that kind of thing. I got all that. And speaking of Mexico, which we see here, this is a Mexican Sandcat, Mexican Army, I think. Oh, let's cover this first. The Lenco Bearcat. This is probably like one of the most iconic vehicles of the U.S. of U.S. law enforcement, and this is also based on a Ford truck chassis, steel plates, Lenco Industries, Lenco Armored Vehicles. Pleasant. Is that Lenco or Lenco? Lenco. aftermarket vehicle system. So we have battering rams, windshield, thermal camera, spotlights, everything. We have the whole thing, and it's interesting that of how much a Ford, like just a regular Ford Super Duty can do. Um, Ford F550 Super Duty. I've got all that, and what else did it have? Mars a mobile adjustable ramp system which allows technical officers to gain entrance to elevated platforms such as second-story windows or aircraft. These were used in a lot of shootings. I think this is a more recent version. This is a Canadian. This is a Canadian Ottawa Police Service. Yeah. New South Wales. This is an older model. You can see like a lot of the more plain ones, less tactical. Bear one with a battering ram attachment. That'll be a good thing. Best armaments, battering ram, all these guns, and we just put battering ram. So they've got all of that, gun ports, emergency lights and sirens, complete common remotely operated weapon system. So this is like a remote control weapon system, battering ram, tear gas deployment nozzle. But that could be interesting. Operated weapon station, thermographic camera systems, radiation detection systems, all that. The whole kitchen sink is on this thing, and it's just a Ford. And speaking of all that, speaking of the Ford, let's take a look at this. Let's see if the video is short enough. No, it's 15 minutes long. That's gonna be too long. Let's read the article instead. This is the Mexican cartel version. This is the one that showed up in my thumbnail. The real Mad Max cars, Los Zetas, other cartels, circa 2010, improvised APCs, 120 plus built. These are the technicals of the American continent. And like elsewhere, the Toyota might rule, but in here it's a fight between the Chevy and the Ford, and it seems that the Ford is winning. Narco tanks, known as narco tanks in Spanish, is an umbrella term made by the media for improvised armored cars used by modern drug cartels in Mexico. SUVs and commercial vehicles serve as a chassis for narco tanks, and they are tooled up with armor, turrets, mounted weapons, and even James Bond-like gadgets. These are seen mostly in the Mexican states bordering the USA, because these areas have become zones of intense conflict between cartels competing for drug smuggling routes into the USA. These vehicles typically look like something from the post-apocalyptic film Mad Max and were first reported at some point between 2010 and 2011, although the Mexican mass media is often deliberately slow to report on certain cartel-related stories for fear of reprisal attacks. Again, Omnibus, my friend, who I know on another server, if you are listening, please enlighten us with your Mexican knowledge on this. Created in illicit workshops, these vehicles are well known for their exotic designs, but for the local Mexicans, they are weapons of an ever-escalating, ever-deadlier intercartel war that even the military has been involved in for over 10 years. So we've got that, all the cartels going on, and they just have the capability, just like the insurgent groups that we covered, all the ISIS and terrorist groups that we covered in the technical article on this website. They've just become so powerful that they have to do this. They have the ability to do this now. Crucial to understanding, Los Zetas is probably the most brutal cartels operating in Mexico, gaining infamy for events such as the massacre of 300 plus civilians. Damn. Fucking hell. Simply because two locals betrayed Los Zetas. And crucial to understanding the existence of narco tanks is that only half the income of Los Zetas comes from drugs trafficking, whereas the other half comes from activities against civilians and the war against other drug cartels, which has in turn created a desire for armored vehicles. War never changes. War never changes. And so we have all this. Vincente Fox, Craig tells directly. So, production of narco tanks. Narco tanks are produced in improvised production lines or in underground workshops which are hard to detect by law enforcement, and only 2 have been reported captured since 2011, the latest being February 2015. Only 2? Analysis of captured workshops by the military have shown that some vehicles had suspensions modified to take up to 30 tons of weight. All of these. But I wonder how Ford feels. I wonder how Ford feels about this. Ford F-350. Improved suspension. Improved suspension systems. Oh, that's for that. That will cover next after we're done with the narco tanks. While cartels could probably afford military grade vehicles, they are large, conspicuous, and spare parts are not readily available, whereas larger civilian and commercial vehicles tend to blend in, as they would attract less attention from authorities, both on the road and during purchase, and are easy to maintain, and spare parts are easy to come by, which allow the vehicles to feature armor of 25 to 25 millimeters thick, which can survive small arms fire and even 40 millimeter grenades, which are the ones launched by like the Mark 19 automatic grenade launcher and the M79 and the Mark 19. Types of narco tanks. And according to an article in Small Wars Journal by Robert J. Bunker, the narco tanks can be. Oh shit, that's my state. The narco tanks can be classified in 5 categories: 1. Defensive, 2. Defensive, 3. Early offensive, and 3. Mature offensive. Oh geez, and 4. Offensive. Level 1 vehicles are hastily improvised vehicles with minor innovations, such as the use of ballistic vests inside a delivery truck, will provide protection for cartel hit squads, as seen in one incident on July 11th, 1979 in Dadeland Mall, Florida. The War on Dadeland Massacre. Jeez. So, this is what was happening in my state before I was born. This is like the Miami Vice era. This precedes the modern narco tank, which such vehicles are very likely to exist due to the reduced chance of attracting attention. Ballistic vests inside a delivery truck. Kevlar sheeting. Ballistic vest layering. That would be a sight to see. And I think that's used on some military vehicles as well. Level 2 vehicles tend to be professionally armored SUVs using internal armored kits, ballistic glass, and bulletproof tires, all of which are common in Mexico. Since the late 1990s, middle-class civilians have begun purchasing these armor kits to protect themselves from kidnapping and cartel-level violence. Maybe we need these in the US as well. Furthermore, in recent years, these armor kits have become readily available at low cost for mass consumption, seeing as though the market has grown so large, which means they are even more common and have become the most common type of narco tank. Level 3 early vehicles have improvised pillboxes or similar firing positions on the bed of a truck, can possibly be armored, and have been seen around northeastern Mexico from 2010 to 2011. Level 11 mature vehicles make up the bulk of sensationally photographed narco tanks, although many examples of Level 3 early vehicles exist. They are usually, but not exclusively, work trucks featuring exterior armor, 5 to 25 millimeter thick armor, gun ports, air conditioning for passengers, better air conditioning. Air conditioning for passengers. External gun mounts, battering rams, even small turrets. The key difference between level 1, level 3, and level 1 to 2 vehicles is that level 3 vehicles are considered offensive weapons as opposed to defensive. They can be operated by gun trucks similar to the ones employed by the US during the Vietnam War, which we covered. We watched the Fat Electrician video on the last one, on the last stream. Level 3 narco tanks can be split further into 2 categories: SUVs and large commercial vehicles. What makes larger Level 3 is a predicted evolution of Level 3. Level 4 is a predicted evolution of Level 3, an improvised armored fighting vehicle with an anti-vehicular main gun, probably some form of anti-aircraft gun, and possibly thicker armor. For reasons that will be explored later in this article, this evolution has not happened. So that's what we see. That's all the technicals that we've covered, which we see they have anti-aircraft guns. And somehow this hasn't really happened yet in Mexico, and we'll see that later in the article. What makes larger level 3 vehicles particularly dangerous and well known is their sheer size, intimidating appearance, high passenger capacity, often as many as 20 men, and the fact that they may carry heavy machine guns or even RPGs. Analysis of photographs reveals that some weapons I've seen include personal weapons, mounted 50 cal snipers. Let's put that down. M82, 50 BMG. So we've got those. 50 cal snipers, mounted machine guns, and perhaps other heavy infantry or anti-tank weapons such as rocket-propelled grenades. Unconventional weapons are used on these vehicles too. Most of them have battering rams, perhaps to burst through gates, enemy vehicles, or even general traffic, where these vehicles reportedly have gadgets that chuck nails or oil onto the road, presumably to help lose a tailing vehicle. Smaller narco tanks are generally based on SUVs and pickup trucks. They are easy to conceal and are known to offer very powerful V10 engines, making them perfect for the type of combat they are involved in. These also often feature turrets, a curious innovation perhaps. They allow effective fire to be laid down on enemies. For one example, one vehicle had a turret designed for a sniper to cover 160-degree radius towards the front. They can provide crucial forwards fire that most comparable gun trucks lack. As we can see, a lot of technicals had some issues firing directly forward. SUV narco tanks tend to be light. They are technical examples of extensively modified and heavily armed types. Both of these types were made roughly at the same time. Only the lighter SUV narco tanks are seen today. The heavy ones tend to be very conspicuous, such as the infamous examples of Monstru 2010 and 2011. Such designs are also rather short-lived designs owing to their inherent flaws such as being far too conspicuous, unreliable, and slow. So we've got chuck nails or oil onto the road. Caltrop dispenser. Caltrop dispenser. That's an actual thing that we have to see. V10 engines. So we've got those. A 1999 Chevy Silverado to a 2500 featuring an armored pillbox at the rear. Has space for 4 passengers, armored 19 millimeters thick. It is less likely to attract attention from authorities. Being barely modified, it could probably hit speeds of 68 miles an hour. Seized toward June 2011. Tamaulipas. I think that's what it is. Oh, I keep clicking on that. Headlight guards. So we've got those. We see this on a lot of vehicles anyway. Lighter SUV narco tanks have internal armor kits or just small pillboxes mounted at the rear. We have all that. Vehicles modified with these kits are not blatantly cartel related, save for all the firearms inside, meaning they cannot be seized without serious proof of criminal intent. They are also substantially lighter than those equipped with heavier external armor, which means these light narco tanks can travel much quicker. These two advantages alone meant that the chances of seeing larger, more spectacular narco tanks in the future is slim. We have a Browning 50 cal, Browning M2, is stuck in the back, mounted out the window. The smaller vehicles based on SUVs tend to be stealthy and defensive weapons, usually to defend territory or protect drug shipments. They still may carry heavier weapons such as 50 cal sniper rifles, but rarely anything larger. There are reports of videos that show them to be operated in convoys of 10 to 20 vehicles, each carrying up to 5 men. Again, to make the point very clear, this type is more and more common, seeing as they have many benefits over the larger vehicles, as they are more difficult to detect, can travel faster, and attract less unwanted attention. We have the Chevy Suburban, another CIA. Well, found in Nuevo Laredo, circa 2010. Is more stealthy, although the machine gun is very obvious. I seen it as though it would be near impossible to aim because you have an extremely very limited traverse. You basically are limited to that window. You are not removing that gun from that window. Narco tanks are far from indestructible and have not overwhelmed opposing cartels or the Mexican military. They are not often engaged by the military, but the military has been known to employ handheld anti-tank weaponry against them, such as the RL-83 blind-to-side bazooka, which has been used during one engagement in May 2011 in Escobobo, Nuevo Leon. Some photos exist of abandoned narco tanks having been severely damaged by RPGs fired from opposing cartels, and some knocked-out vehicles have even been graffitied, daring Los Zetas to send more narco tanks to their doom. Let's put down recoilless rifle, RPG 7. So I've got that, and an abandoned narco tank based on a truck which has been seemingly destroyed by an RPG hit and subsequent fire, and a subsequent fire. RPGs are common in cartel arsenals and seemingly with good reason. They have also not been used against civilians as an offensive weapon. Los Zetas seems to act in a military fashion by wearing military uniforms and setting up roadblocks to the narco tanks, which sometimes look similar to military vehicles, save for a few details. So, despite seeming as though they want to have political and social control over areas, Los Zetas and other cartels are not wholly hierarchical in their structure. In fact, they operate as federations, thus meaning they can become fragmented very easily. It was the fragmentation of one cartel that led to the Los Zetas formation, thus meaning they cannot form any kind of governing body. Furthermore, narco tanks may become redundant as the necessary coordination of these military-like vehicles, mainly avoiding capture by authorities, may not be present in a fragmented group. And this is the Monstro. This is the one shown in the thumbnail. Two of the most famous narco tanks are known as the Monstro 2010 and Monstro 2011. It is unclear whether or not they were made by the same workshop, but they share very, very similar features, although this may be the case that they are unrelated vehicles save for the name. These are vehicles that truly look like they were straight from the Max. There's a lot of typos. The Mad Max franchise, owing to their entirely armored exterior and a unique appearance. I haven't read Spanish since I haven't done Spanish class since high school, but I'm gonna try and read it anyway. Parabrisas reforzado. That's like reinforced engine. Not engine. I mean reinforced windows. Eliminan el vidrio y colocan a placa con orificios. So they eliminate the exterior. Not the exterior. They take out any potential holes, which I guess this is just like the view slits that you would get on a tank. You have this massive angled armor plate. If you've played War Thunder, you know what vehicle angling is. You know what armor angling is. BTR caliber 4x4 what? That's an Metallicas Anco 434 de Corsar. I think that's that might be a battering ram, but why it's vertical, I have no idea. Maybe it could be for just doing what that thing a stabilizer where you just plop it into the ground and it sets up, you start opening fire. 19 to 20 people for the interior, so you've got all of them just bunched up in the back. Oh wow. Okay, carroceria electrificada. So the front plate is electrified. This is an electric fence mounted in the front plate. Oh man. Best. I mean, does it count as armor or does it count as an offensive weapon? Let's edit that, and then we have electrified armor. He got the this truck got the thorns enchantment. So we have like the levels. Oh, this is the kind of this is in Spanish. This is the levels, the NIJ the U.S. Department of Justice levels, protection levels that you would see. M14 FN FAL 762, M19, M2 carbine, 762 by 63. That's 30-06, and 7.72 by 51. I think that's 303 British. I could be wrong. Maybe that's 8mm Mauser. I could be again. No, it's not. That wouldn't be correct. So we have protection all the way up to 30-06, at least. Monstro 2010 is the more crude-looking version based on a large SUV. According to the above infographic, it could transport up to 19 or 20 men carrying assault rifles. It features a single turret in the front of the crew compartment for a sniper. All glass was removed from the vehicle and replaced with armor plating, below some small vision slits featuring armored glass, polycarbonate and duplex. Bulletproof windows. Let me clear my throat for a second. The tires too were partially covered with a steel plate, but nevertheless an ultra lightweight, bulletproof ballistic steel ring was added to each. The steel hull was an inch thick and angled upwards. The front of the vehicle featured a large steel pole, so it is a battering ram, 4x4 inches big, to smash through obstacles, and strangely, the grille was reportedly electrified with up to 700 volts. It also had nail-dropping, oil-slicking, and smokescreen devices which could throw off pursuers, which would be necessary as it could only travel a mere 40 to 50 miles an hour. 25 to 31 miles an hour. This thing is legal to drive in my neighborhood, and you would never exceed the speed limit. Oh my gosh. Oh man. It's so slow. I could drive one of these and not you are not redlining that. You are redlining that thing at like 20 miles an hour. Smokescreen. Best upgrades. Does that again like the electric? Does it count as defensive or offensive? I'll put it. Smokescreen dispensers. It's an actual thing. Monstro 2011 looks much more sophisticated than Monstro 2010. The key difference is that it featured two turrets and looked fairly well put together, even featuring reinforced transmission. It is believed that two Monstro 2011 vehicles have been found which look almost identical. The first was found in Rancho San Juan in Coahuila, buried under tons of dirt. they did the Saddam strat of burying your favorite vehicles in like a layer of dirt. The other was found in Ciudad Mier, Tamaulipas, with its tires missing. This vehicle is based on a Ford Super Duty pickup truck, level 5 bulletproof glass. The vehicle is sharply pointed with a steel battering ram, showing a clear intention to smash through obstacles, although it can only travel at speeds up to 40 to 50 kilometers per hour. It's so slow. I have driven golf carts that go faster. It does not seem to feature any gadgets like Monstro 2010, but it was undoubtedly a sophisticated and well-planned design, probably created using blueprints, which would explain the existence of two Monstro 2011s. As mentioned earlier, narco tanks like Monstros and heavy trucks have been seldom seen since 2012, perhaps owing to the fact that stealthy SUVs with internal armor are preferred by the cartels with good reason. The Mexican government states that at least 100 narco tanks have been seized so far, which undoubtedly has a knock-on effect on the narco tank production. Instead of getting bigger, as many commentators have speculated, they have actually gotten smaller and less conspicuous. I feel like that's the thing. It's not Mexico, like, while you could easily call it a war zone, and it basically is between all these cartels, these are cartels. They cannot operate openly like the terrorist groups that we observed earlier. They aren't a military, even if they conduct themselves like one. They don't have the option or opportunity to operate openly with their weapons out, guns blazing, with all this armor out. And so they take the different approach of just internally armoring it, waiting, like, upgrading the engine, upgrading parts, covering the front end with armor so it can, like, instead of like making it more concealable, making it more less easy to detect. And like we said, like what was read, the civilian armored vehicles are legal in Mexico, so that just makes the proliferation of these even further. 50 cal bullets, bulletproof glass panels, and AK mags. This is only the second widely reported raid on a narco tank factory, and is almost certain that plenty more illegal workshops are still in operation and producing narco tanks to this day. Oh, that's a Remington. That's a Bushmaster BA-50, I think. A Bushmaster BA-50. And to my recollection, this might be semi-automatic. It could also be a bolt action. Type of narco tank is becoming more common because it's more stealthy and interior armor is a lot less conspicuous. The reason why they prefer 50 BMG sniper rifles and anti-material rifles like the Barrett M82 and the Bushmaster BA-50 is that they're so easily acquired from the US, and they're very effective in like what we saw with the Syrian Arab Army 30mm technical. These are specifically made to take out other narco tanks. These could easily penetrate the armor, hit the engine, or hit the crew inside. Only and they don't need these big machine guns, where they could just open fire with one of these, unload, load in a new mag, and then drive off. Basically a more advanced version of a drive-by, I'm pretty sure. And Pope Mobile Narco, due to its resemblance to the Pope Mobile, a GMC Sierra 2500 featuring a sniper's cabin on the rear with space for 4 people. Yeah, the Mexican cartels seem to prefer the sniper rifles over the machine gun because it's just better, first shot empty capability. Better capability of just take out the target, run off, shoot and scoot tactic. GMC Sierra 2500. Oh. And the Pope Mobile. This is the one specifically in my thumbnail. His name Monstro 2010. Oh, this is the interior. Featured shutters. It's an interesting modification to have. A light narco tank, but still one of the larger pickup trucks, seemingly a 1999 Ford F-150 FX4 double cab, featuring an armored pillbox at the rear. 19mm in thickness. It's Ford F-150. We have the whole lineup. F-150, the F-350. There's probably an F-450. Gray Zoomer needs to explain to me what the difference is what the difference between each number actually means. One of the larger narco tanks, it might be based on a dump truck, and it supposedly belonged to Cartel de Golfo. Mexican Marines are guarding the vehicle. 25mm shells, a 40mm grenade, and some armor-piercing 50 BMG rounds are reportedly found inside. Is that? Oh my gosh. We are not putting those in our technicals. That is straight up asbestos. They're hovering it in asbestos. Now all these these cartel sicarios and soldados are getting like mesothelioma from look how much asbestos is in this. Do they have those law firms in Mexico that like, oh, I worked with like you may be entitled to financial compensation? Are they gonna sue the cartel for making them like work in asbestos filled environments? A heavily armored narco tank named Batmobile in Tamaulipas in a space for 18 passengers. It looks more like the Buffalo armored fighting vehicle. Interior of a narco tank. So like a lot of these are converted dump trucks as well. Featuring a Ram. And we have the Monstro. And we have that. So the Mexican government, we see here the New York Post. The Mexican government has released video of customized Franken tanks seized from drug cartels being destroyed. We saw that. Why did they waste the backspace? Why did they waste the bed? You could have used the bed for something, man. And what we have in here, Mexican cartels, incredible narco tanks, Monstro or hulking size reached peak popularity in 2011. We've seen this one again. Why is there an overhang? Why is the back end of the truck just exposed? You could do a lot more with that space. Dump trucks, we saw that one. We saw this one. Oh, this is one that we saw. Offensively, narco tanks had armored turrets and weapon bays on the side, out of which cartel members could point assault rifles. We have the mighty, most amazing narco tanks. So these are just the ones we saw. And I'd like to say, and we can see like Latin America isn't like, despite all the focus of what goes on, of all these technicals being in the Middle East or being used in World War II in Europe, Latin America is no stranger to the technical. And so we have the Republic of El Salvador, and you'll notice that, well, everyone knows what everyone's a weeb. Everyone knows what these are. Mazinger Z and Astro Boy, in reference to like mech trucks. These are like 1979 to 1992 armored trucks. These were the gun trucks used in the Salvadoran Civil War. Following the 1979 invasion of Honduras, armed sanctions were placed on El Salvador, significantly limiting its access to arms and armored vehicles. The result was that throughout the 1970s, a series of improvised armored vehicles were manufactured, most notably the Maestranza de Fuerza Armada de El Salvador, which is the central command for ordnance of the military. So it's like the U.S. Army Ordnance Corps, which was basically like... you have all that, and the result was that throughout the 1970s, a series of improvised armored vehicles were manufactured. Most notably, we have that for the military. If some arms delivery did make it to the El Salvador, usually via third parties, such as 27 tracked log haulers, based on the U.S.-built M114 APC from the U.S., which arrived via Guatemala. And I'm tangenting. I'm just gonna look. I just want to look. Oh, there isn't a photo. So, back in 1969, a series of trucks called Rayos, which have been fitted with armor for the invasion of Honduras, and this is highly successful strategy, was repeated post-1979 for the deteriorating security situation. Wheeled vehicles offered significant advantages over tracked vehicles, not least of which was their availability. With the majority of the fighting being short and low intensity, wheeled vehicles were able to move much more quickly to where they needed at a much lower maintenance footprint than a tracked vehicle. The speed and availability of wheeled vehicles mean they were a simple solution to the patrolling and protection of roads and infrastructure. Including the 27 and 114 conversions, El Salvador produced about 150 armored vehicles in the years between 1978 and 1985, a remarkable achievement for a small and relatively poor country, and especially so regarding the armed sanctions considering the armed sanctions and security climate. So yeah, this is basically like we're going back to the gun trucks. These are, ooh, that's a proper land ironclad. That's, oh wow, that is heavy. That like these are the armored versions of the gun trucks that we saw last stream. The Rayos, M130, M34, M35A1 ton utility trucks, M34 based, M35A1 corruption. The name Rayos itself is a corruption of the name REO to the Spanish, meaning lightning ray, a good name for a quick armored vehicle for interdiction. Some of these base trucks were also built by AM General and Kaiser Motors, but REO was a generic name misapplied to form Rayos. Oh, these were Continental engines. So we have these like we have these gun trucks shown here, and we saw that one. So it's basically like the next evolution of the gun truck. Ooh, 120mm UBM 52 mortar carrying Rayos, 120mm UBM 52. Where is that? UBM 152. Mortar carrying Rayos, open top Rayos with tarpaulin and cut over the top, presumably for protection against the weather. We've got that, a shade parasol canvas. Covering a truck in armor adds a lot of weight as it is protection, of course. Over cotton fiber. The gap between these two plates was stuffed with cotton fiber fill as a means to reduce weight and improve protection. Also, it's spaced armor. So this function is spaced armor. I think I remember. Oh, damn it! Excuse me. I got a phone call. I jumped. I'm sorry, guys. That scared me. The only part of this truck fully enclosed was the engine, with the radiator behind a large steel grille at the front. Access for maintenance was means of a large rectangular door cut into the armor over a bonnet on the vehicle. These vehicles found use during the war, followed by internal security works as patrols and convoy escorts. But the weight of the armor and the open-top vehicle, the nature of the design, limited their effectiveness as armored vehicles. Within just a few years, and with the ability to import armored vehicles once more, the Rayos were obsolete. So it's like, they'll always get mogged by basically actual professionally made armored vehicles, but considering that what we've seen, that professionally armored vehicles have been essentially technical made, like these might be relevant. Like,
It's the early 1990s.
we'll get into that in a second. So we have it here, the Mazinger Z. Together, these vehicles were no longer trucks converted into armored vehicles were those made by MAN International, Magirus, and I don't know this company, International Harvester. I know that company, International Harvester. Man, those are that's a semi truck maker, I think. Together, these vehicles were no longer Rayos, but yeah, Mazinger Z's. One Mazinger Z was based on an International Harvester truck, although initially it was unarmed. Later it was fitted with the same type of turret, an M55A2 triple 20mm anti-aircraft cannon. Hold on, did we already have that? Automatic grenade launcher, free. F55. M55A2. So we have that large steel flat panel to form the armor, which is slightly tapered upwards to the size, with a very short tapered portion along the bottom of each panel. Sloped armor. So yeah, that's sloped armor is, as the Germans found out in World War II, is very effective. Oh wow, that's a lot. A pair of 90mm recoilless rifles and machine gun mounts. That is a lot for one turret. Triple 20mm cannons. That is a lot to put on to put. That is a lot of hatred for one direction. Not the band, just a direction for like a concept. Tapered sharply under the vehicle. Covered by ankle steel plating, this engine area is much more steeply sloped. FAES-1305, a Magirus-based Mazinger Z, rebuilt for the third time after damage from guerrillas. Simple flat steel panels and bulletproof glass replacing the windows. Normally, no armament was carried under the weapon, other than the weapons of the troops in the back. But at least one vehicle was fitted with an M60 machine gun and gun shield over the cab. In an effort to improve protection from the troops in the back, Kevlar sheeting was used to line the bed, providing protection from fragments being blown up from underneath the vehicle. So that's against mines, early mine protection. Just like the rebuilt M114s, an attempt to counter the RPG threat came from the use of mesh screens placed over the sides and cab of the vehicles. Although not all have this vehicle, not all of this had this feature, and the success of it was questionable. So we have mesh screening. We have that as a potential upgrade to use. Mesh armor and a can. So those are basically like, screen doors. I'm gonna show something a lot similar that I have. So Spencer had some kind of cargo body and a raised curved section at the front. Cab is crudely armored with a small bulletproof glass window on each side and no protection for the tires. Mazinger Zs were mainly used for convoy escorts, protecting against guerrilla attacks, and for carrying a dozen or more soldiers in the back. Due to the lack of air conditioning in the vehicle, it was normal for those angled side panels to be folded down, leaving the men exposed to enemy fire, although it was standard practice for the driver to wear body armor. I think that's an Wehrlicon. No, that's a triple M55A2. Dump truck Mazinger. What are they? Oh, well, let's get into the Astro Boy ones. That's an interesting camo pattern. Following a series of it's named Astro Boy because it's smaller. Based on Ford F-250s, light armored personnel carrier. Yeah, we already covered those. So we have all that covering. Like what we saw, we observed the Cadillac Gauge Ranger that this style of armor is technically regularly used, I guess, but just by different companies. I'll put a complete coat of armor over the truck save for the tires. Approximately 20 such vehicles were produced, and there was significant variation amongst them. Astro Boy 828A, for example, had a fully armored body, from the sloping sides, front and rear, and had a covered roof. Sides also had multiple bulletproof glass portholes and 4 large rectangular doors, and the vehicle was used as a mobile command post. Another known Astro Boy had no armor at all in the back cab, on the back protected by a large angular welded body. We have that. The Mazinger and Astro Boy vehicles came about at a time of great wheeled military vehicle shortage in El Salvador. On the whole, they were quite well designed, showing that a lot of thought had gone into the construction of various armored bodies, especially considering the scarce resources available at the time and limited production facilities. These vehicles saw much service, conducting patrols and convoy escorts, although finding accurate accounts of their use is limited. None of these vehicles are currently known to have survived. That's a shame. I would have liked to see one in real life. And so there was something I wanted to cover real quick. We'll get into those. These are not technicals, but they exist. These ISIS-fighting Philippine tanks are clad in DIY wooden armor. This is to protect against RPG attacks because this is the Cadillac Gauge Commando, which was mentioned in the Fat Electrician video that we saw. These are two Mark 19. No, that's a Mark 19 grenade launcher, and that's an M60. This is in the Philippines. Branch, if you know what this is, this is the armor of God. This is the free Wi-Fi tank. It's not a tank, it's an IPC. Discarded ammunition crates and salvaged wood. The wooden armor is supposed to protect it from man-portable anti-tank weapons. Another image showed an RPG-2 rocket-propelled anti-tank grenade launcher captured from ISIS troops. The armor is well-meaning, but probably not up to the job. Could wood armor actually work? So we have like, it's the idea is that it's spaced armor. It's a lot to I saw it in an Ahoy video being demonstrated how a heat round works, which is a high explosive anti-tank, which is a shaped charge like TLDR for the uninitiated. If your anti-tank round explodes prematurely, the jet, like a cone-shaped cavity is placed against a slab of metal or tank armor, and explosive charge is detonated behind it. Cavity channels the force of the explosion through the cone to the tip. This enables a shaped charge warhead to penetrate armor up to 7 times the diameter to charge. Thing is, if it detonates prematurely, it goes like the warhead will typically fail to penetrate the armor as long as it isn't in direct contact with the armor, which is why the wood panels exist, the wood paneling. This is more than enough to pierce the armor of the V-150 armored car, which is designed to stop bullets with the diameter of 30 caliber or smaller. To be effective, wooden armor would have to do one of two things: stand away from the vehicle's hull or be plenty thick. In the first case, building a cage of wooden armor would do the trick. This would cause the RPG warhead to detonate against the wood and burn through the armor, but dissipate before it actually reached the vehicle's surface. Like the caged armor. And then a lot of wood would help. This is in the Philippines. Marawi City, Filipino military innovation and ingenuity. They're very self-flattering. But this is it. This is the free Wi-Fi armored car, the free Wi-Fi armored truck. 90 RRs and a rocket grenade, effective in mobilizing various kinds. Lieutenant Colonel Joar Herrera, a spokesman of the Army's 1st Infantry the Philippine Army 1st Infantry Division, said tank commanders have decided to cover armored vehicles with planks of wood for added protection against fighters belonging to the Abay Saaf Mayute group and their allies. The wood surfaces disperse the impact of an anti-tank warhead before it hits a steel shell of an armored personnel carrier or a tank. Practically all armored vehicles here had already been reinforced with wood planks of various thickness. Oh my gosh. And I remember seeing that. I remember seeing that some of these, in absence of actual wood, had been armored with cardboard. I'm like, look, this is funny and all. That's not going to save your life, and I hope that's not going to save your life. I hope it does, but it won't. And this is like another one, Philippine military blog. Ended up making fun of the whole thing. One Chinese webpage reported that someone called the vehicles wooden chariots and even mocked that the wood made the vehicles amphibious. This is not a wooden chariot. This is the armor of God. It is the armor of God in Swagapino. The spaced armored study, yeah. So, I don't really, rock and roll to the. This is the best. This is the best part of the wooden armor. You can just paint propaganda photos on all of it. But that, unfortunately, this cupola is not going to survive a direct RPG blast. And the ISIS Hunter wooden armor of. Let me show it off. The armor of God, and Pinatubo, Psalm 91. What is this? Those are trash cans. Are those like? Are those like the tubs that we got in PE? And these are the tubs, the plastic tubs that we got in PE with a door applique armor. This is a garage door. I'm gonna put that down. I have to put that down. Electrified armor, construction vehicle doors, salvaged garage doors, salvaged garage doors. Free Wi. Here we go. Free Wi-Fi. We have the free Wi-Fi here, the Philippine Marine Corps. And then, oh, that's in a second. That's in a second. We're gonna look at the lesser well-known vehicles. We have the improvised tactical vehicles of the provisional IRA, which is like again, you have the mortar launcher, and this is gonna be different in context. The concept of the technical remains the same, but the demonstrations and like case use of all of these various platforms and weapons are going to be by region, are going to be by region. As we can see, like this isn't a Toyota, this isn't a Chevy, this is a K truck that like, or I guess the British would call it a lorry. Pickup and heavy flatbed trucks, known in military and technicals, and a DSHK machine gun, which is a common thing for technicals. We already covered that. A Russian heavy 50 cal machine gun. An Isuzu van, Isuzu Fargo. We learn about new vehicles that are capable of withstanding this stuff. On March 11th, 1994, an Isuzu van hijacked in Ballyshannon, County Donegal, was equipped with improvised armor plates and a sandbag and armed with 2 heavy machine guns. Oh, Ford Transit. Man, that has got to be a hell of a thing to see in a war zone. A Ford Transit. Hold on. Van fitted the same way with automatic weapons and driven by five members of the East Tyrone Brigade, launched a late night raid on a British Army permanent checkpoint manned by 8 soldiers at Onacloy, whatever, opening up a harassment fire on the military facilities. The soldiers returned fire. The improvised tactical vehicle eventually fled to the border. Vans were, yeah, this is like troop carriers, light artillery, machine guns, and like armored gunships, that kind of thing. The Morris Marina. Hold on. Do we have time to read up on these? Technically not, but you know what? I'm gonna read about of a Morris Marina. This is a British Leyland. Mollington probably knows what this is. I've seen this probably on Top Gear. I'm just like, hold on. Oh, improvised tactical vehicle. So this technically isn't technical. They were just driving it like a normal car. Taking a bomb attack. Improvised armored vehicles with an LPO-50 flamethrower. Hold on. Gee, damn. LPO-50 Soviet flamethrower. Dozen men will hand grenades and RPGs with a crash bar, which is a rollover bar. Improvised armored vehicles. Used a Bedford TL. Come on, load. Oh, that's a flatbed truck. A Bedford TL. Bedford TL. So we've got those. And APAV rifle grenades. Oh. The heavy vehicle fled to the border, where it was disarmed, booby-trapped, and abandoned by the crew. A van bomb left by assailants at the checkpoint only exploded partially. An articulated lorry. Oh, that's a tractor trailer. Of a Mazda 626 was used as a mobile platform for snipers in South Armagh for the South Armagh sniper campaign. So we have the the Mazda Capella. Jeez. Which technically, again, not a technical, but it's just interesting to see vehicles other than trucks than to be the stolen JCB digger. Renault The South Armagh Brigade built up to their attack by lifting a Renault Master. It's a French van. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's a French Renault Master, it's like the Ford Transit. The heavy machine was previously used to a van bomb. So technically that doesn't qualify to be a technical, because if it's just like a bomb, it's not expected to survive. Another attempt to destroy a military outpost with a bulldozer at Londonderry, Belfast during the Battle of Londonderry. We'll get into bulldozers in a bit. Armed heavy trucks were used to attack security bases as well. On U-70, IRA launched an assault using a hijacked dump truck on the headquarters of a 10th Battalion, the Ulster Defence Regiment in Malone. Fired on the company office. The 3 soldiers were injured and unconscious, succumbing to injuries. One of them decimated an 12.7mm machine gun, probably a DSHK. Armor-plated Ford Sierra. An armor-plated Ford Sierra. Oh my gosh, the British. What are you using for your Mollington? Mollington, what are you using for your technicals? What is this? Well, not what are you using? Well, British, Irish, it's close enough. Well, even though the Irish are cooler. Why are you using a small coupe as a technical? We'll get into those in a second. Oh my gosh. Ford Sierra. Oh, hold on. Oh, Ford's. What are you using for your technicals over in Ireland and Britain? Is this what you have? Is you can't get pickup trucks like the rest of the world? Oh man, the Vauxhall Cavalier. Oh my gosh, they're using just regular sedans for this thing. Armor-plated Vauxhall Cavalier. Vauxhall Cavalier. Oh my gosh. What is, why would you, it's not, oh man. The Barrack Buster, is that rust or wood? Maybe it's wood. Barrack Buster is Mark 15 single mortar attack, so we have an improvised mortar. Mobile mortar launcher, attack on Downing Street, Heathrow Airport. So we have mortar bomb. A Suzuki Jeep, which was the Suzuki Jimny, was fitted with a Barrack Buster. Look at the size of that thing. And that's what she said. Oh man, an Austin Maestro. What are you using? These are like the worst vehicles possible to convert into a technical. Austin Maestro. What is going on in the British Isles? And is They're using a Suzuki Jimny for for as use as a mortar carrier. What is it coming to? A 4D truck. So that's another one that could be potentially used. A 4D truck has a range of middleweight trucks introduced by 40K 4D. And we have all that. We have that and directional car and railway bombs. Improvised self-propelled flamethrowers. A 10-man IR a manure spreader by a tractor to spray 600 gallons of a gas diesel mix to set the security base on fire. Oh my gosh, they're using the shit sprayers as flamethrowers. Manure sprayer flamethrowers. Oh man, that is a sight to see. And I think we'll do we'll look at the Rhodesian ones as well. So these are the early MRAPs. African Wars. UN produces a trade sanction on Rhodesia led to backward deals and development of interesting mine-protected vehicles. So we have the Rhino. This is the Land Rover, which is like on some of them you can elevate them in order to Rhodesian security forces were completely unprepared for this kind of warfare. Landmines, predominantly the Soviet-made TM-46, together with RPG anti-tank rocket grenades, employed in ambushes, expose the inadequacy of existing vehicles. In a short space of time, and while isolated through international and economic sanctions, local private enterprise and the military addressed the need for a range of vehicles that would afford the occupants protection from both landmines and ambush fire. As the guerrilla war escalated and engulfed vast tracts of the Rhodesian countryside, where most roads were untarred, specialist factories rolled out a veritable menagerie of locally designed and constructed mine and ambush-protected vehicles. Rhino, the hyena, the leopard, the kudu, cougar, crocodile, and puma. So they're all like named after animals. This is the crocodile, which is, we've seen this before, and we see it again. War never changes. This is the universal battle bus. The Rhino is the first Rhodesian military vehicles designed to afford driver and troop protection, so this is mine protected. Although I wouldn't recommend this because this does present a very high target, as we can see here. Adapted for use on Rhodesia's rail network. Roll bars, 23 steel water piping, leopard. Salvage water pipes, so we've got those. 800 leopards were produced during the war, and we've seen this a lot of times. A Nissan chassis and engines were later. Addressing the 800 leopards would be produced during the war, and with 67 detonated landmines, and only one death that could be directly attributed to the explosion. However, the vulnerability of the external power unit and insurmountable issues with leopard's gearing would force designers back to the drawing board, addressing one of the two major leopard weaknesses. A prototype Cougar rolled out of the factory. Constructed on a Land Rover chassis and powered by an armor-protected Land Rover engine, the monocoque would prove to be a significant improvement. A Nissan and chassis and engine would later be used. There would be no fatal casualties from Cougar landmine detonations. So we have the option of mine protection, bottom armor, and we know Nissan can make good military vehicles. Potential improvised military vehicles. So we have the kudu, which again, this presents a pretty high target. Like this is probably good if you're exclusively dealing with landmines, but this probably isn't a good idea for a profile for like because to keep a low profile. Was the Pookie Cougar with anti-tank rocket. Leopard and Cougar, the single seat Pookie could detect anti-landmines at speed. Heavy vehicles, the Leopard, the Kudu. We have the Hyena, which is also raised. 40mm armor plate glass. And mine protected Land Rover. You couldn't like I guess and you can barely see the bottom armor protection. We have this is what the Ford F-250 looked like back then. Mercedes-Benz. In 1965, UN imposed trade sanctions on the beleaguered country, encouraged the government to repeatedly enter into backdoor deals to sustain the counterinsurgency war. In one major acquisition, in defiance of the embargo, a fleet of Mercedes-Benz 2.5, 4.5, and 7.5-ton vehicles found their way into the Rhodesia security forces. Using the letters in Bedford, the vehicles were respectively dubbed the Rodaf 25 Unimog, Rodaf 45, and Rodaf 75. So we have the Unimog and Rhodesian 81mm mortar fire. British to counter this threat, the Rodaf 4.5 was adapted to perform the function of a mobile mortar firing platform. 81mm mortar. Let's put that on. Hold on. Hold on, everyone. I might have to look downstairs. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'll have to end stream now. I'll have to end stream now because